All right, so I wanted to talk about academic planning for students in the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade year. And the reason why it's important is because if you're a college-bound high school student, what you do in your preparation phase will set you up well for the application phase. So a lot of times, when I meet seniors, sometimes they didn't do what they needed to do in the 9th, 10th, or 11th grade year, and it doesn't set them up very well for success. But if you're the parent or, you're a 9th, 10th, or 11th grader, you've got some time on your side to be very intentional about academic planning. So I want to talk about rocks and the principle of rocks, big rocks. And a lot of times students don't know what to plan for when it comes to planning out their year. So I'm going to talk about 7 things that every college-bound high school student should really focus on using the principle of the rock. So it's going to make a little clinky noise, okay? So the first thing that you want to do is really focus on your academic profile. So let me do it so it doesn't make a whole lot of noise, okay? And the reason why we start with big rocks first, we want to have those high priorities, must-haves in our bucket, in our jar, because we have limited time, limited capacity. And so it's important to focus on big priorities and then fill in with some of the other things you like to do in your free time. Not that they're not important, but it's really important to get those big things in first. So the first big rock is your academic profile. And when I talk about your academic profile, we're looking at your high school transcript. So at this stage in the game, before we start a new school year, go back and look at classes from the prior year all the way to your 9th grade year. And you want to make sure you have what I call the core 5. So you want to have your math, English, science, history, and foreign language. Depending upon, if you're a 9th grader going into 10th, you're probably only going to have 1 year of a foreign language. But you want to end your 4-year journey with at least 2 years of the same foreign language, okay? Sometimes students don't know what they want to major in. And so I say it's better to have, more math than expected, more English, because you may think you're going to do one thing and end up doing something else. So here's the other thing I want to say about academic planning and your coursework. There are graduation requirements, and then there are college entrance requirements. And sometimes they're not the same thing. So sometimes your high school only may require 3 years of math or 3 years of English or no foreign language. That's fine if all you're focusing on is getting out of high school. But if you're here, it's because you are interested in getting into college and securing scholarships to pay for it. So you want to have a very robust, the most rigorous academic profile that works well for you and kind of where you're going. So I just tell students, just go ahead and plan for 4 years of English, 4 years of math, at least 3, maybe 4 years of history, including economics. Usually they are a half a year, depends on your school, and civics. So, that. And then at least maybe 4 years, definitely if you're going into a STEM field of science with the lab sciences. So like biology in lab, chemistry lab, physics in lab. And then sometimes students start off maybe their first year with a general science, or if they start right into, or maybe a physical science, but if they start right off with biology, chemistry, physics, and then on the back end, that 4th year, they may do an earth, environmental science, or maybe anatomy or astronomy, something like that. But, I would say, definitely get those 3 in and shoot for 4. And then you want at least 2 years of the same foreign language. So like French 1 and French 2, or Spanish 1, Spanish 2. I do like to say this, sometimes students will do sign language. They'll do ASL as a foreign language. So your high school may recognize it as a foreign language in terms of graduation requirements, but the college may not accept it as a foreign language for an entrance requirement. So I just want you to be aware of that. So in that case, I always tell students who are interested in learning sign language and they're studying ASL, just slot that in as your elective, okay? So we've got our core 5, and then there are typically 2 electives, and those are maybe PE or driver's ed or, whatever you enjoy doing, band, chorus, whatever. So that's that. Then also when it comes to academic planning, you want to take a look at your GPA. Don't just neglect your grade point average. So where are you right now? What's your benchmark? What's your goal? So where are you starting? where did you finish at the end of last semester and where do you want to go? So begin to think about your academic, your grade point average. And then if you're able to find out your class rank, some schools rank, some schools don't, but if you're able to find out your class rank, talk to your guidance counselor, or maybe log in where your high school transcript is and know what your class rank is. So go ahead and record all that now so you know where you are starting. All right, now our second rock, and it's going to make a little clinky clink noise. Entrance exams or entrance testing. And that would be your SAT and your ACT. Now, this year is a little bit wonky. It's a little messy with COVID, right? It just kind of is what it is. So, normally we have, where it's very prescribed and you're able to stay on track and kind of plan it all out. And it's been wonderful. This year is just not, it's kind of, it's just messy. But let's say so ninth grade, you don't have to worry about it too much. 10th grade, in the fall, you'll be taking, depending on your school, maybe the pre-ACT or the PSAT. The 11th grade year, when you take the PSAT in October, that's when it counts. It counts for the National Merit Scholarship Program, okay? So you want to begin to think about that, plan for that, know what that date is, get it on your calendar. So write everything down. As you're thinking through these 7 big rocks, these 7 things, I want you to write them all down. So write down your current grade point average. Write down those dates for your upcoming test dates. And then for students in the 11th grade, I want you to look ahead to spring test dates and begin to map them out. Now, it is a little bit tricky. It's a little bit different this year because of COVID. And so, a lot of places are asking students to consider it to allow students in the class of 2021, so rising seniors, to sit for the exams, and 2022 juniors to kind of sit tight because of limited testing and things like that. So this is a little kind of an unusual year with COVID-19 because of it and not having as many test dates and a lot of test centers canceling. Alrighty. Then the third rock, let's go make that clink noise again. Extracurriculars. Okay, see, our jar is getting full, right? So your extracurricular activities. So what are the things that you, the student, what do you like to do outside of your required coursework? What are some of the clubs, the activities? How do you spend your free time? Because you choose these things, sports and debate, model UN and yearbook and your student newspaper, whatever all of that is, begin to record that. And so again, it's important to take a look back at what you've done so that you have a record. It's going to make it so much easier to plan in your senior year if you're writing it down as it happens. And the beginning of a school year is a great time to do that. So it's going to really simplify the college planning process. It's going to give you some peace of mind because you have it documented in one location while it was fresh. Definitely do it. Okay. The other thing you want to do when it comes to, that extracurricular rock, if you're in the 9th grade and you've been a member or participant, I want you to now up level and move into leadership. In your 10th, 11th grade year, maybe you begin to step into a leadership role, whether it's thought leadership or actual leadership in terms of a title, responsibilities, positions. As you're going into something, think a little bit deeper and how can I get a little bit more involved and do a little bit more with this activity? So think about, okay, I've been a participant at this for maybe 1 or 2 years. I think I'm going to run for office, or I think I'm going to launch a project, or, whatever it is. So when it comes to that extracurriculars, I want you to think of kind of next level. Our fourth rock is extracurriculars, like so clinky clunky, right? Or community involvement. I'm sorry, community involvement. So this one I like to focus on outside of school. What are you doing in your community? Whether it's a little bit more of your school community, district-wide, your neighborhood, your local church, where you live, maybe maybe you're part of a larger global community. But what are you doing? What's the impact that you're having for others outside of your immediate world, or that's not enriching in terms of clubs and participation, things that you like to do. So again, begin to look back at what you've done, depending upon where you are, 10th, 11th, wherever you are. Record what you've done already. You will thank me. It's going to help a lot with the planning process, building your resume, thinking through your activities list, all that stuff when you show up your senior year, and you'll have it documented. But again, it's a great way to have an audit, a big visual picture of this is what I've done. And these are some things that I want to do. Maybe I wanted to, try out for the debate team. And I thought about it, I never did it. Or maybe I'm on the team and I wanted to attend a national competition or a regional competition. So you can kind of begin to see when you do this kind of audit, this self-audit, areas where you have gaps for things that are of interest to you. Alrighty. Then number 5, summer enrichment. So take a look back at your last summer. So including this summer as well. Now, this summer was a little unusual. Again, a lot of programming got canceled, but still write that down. If you were accepted into a program and it didn't happen because of COVID-19, record it, because over the next few years, there will be that space on the Common App and on many schools' individual applications where you can talk about the impact that COVID-19 has had on you, And so that's a great place to say, yes, I was accepted into this program. I was looking forward to doing this or that, whatever, and I didn't because of COVID. Alrighty. But when it comes to summer enrichment, how have you spent your summers? Was it working? Were you a lifeguard? Did you do nothing? You may find that last summer you did absolutely nothing. And then you said, you know what? We're not going to do that next year. We're going to be very intentional about having a very enriching summer. Did you do a free online course that became available and you learned a new language or a new skill? So begin to document what it is that you've done and look ahead to what it is you like to do. And then up next, clinky clink, right? Work experience, paid work experience, even unpaid work experience, and internships. So again, write down what it is you did, the title, the description, the name of your supervisor. You want to leave on a good note. You may need them for a reference. So, it's going to be really good to make sure. You may want to go back, during another holiday break or spring break or whatever and work there. So, you want to maintain those relationships, but write down what it is that you've done or continue to do with work, because believe it or not, there is a space on the Common App for work experience. A lot of times students don't think that work experience is important, and it is. And so it's important to know that, if you have work experience, to go ahead and write it down, document it now while it's still fresh. What did you do? Your description, how many hours a week, how many weeks a year? Was it just 36 weeks during the school year, 50 to 52 weeks during the entire calendar year? So was it just academic year, calendar year, 12 weeks in the summer? Write it down while it's fresh. And then think ahead to what are some of those experiences that I'd like to have. Maybe, again, you were planning on doing a really neat research project at your local university, but it got canceled. So you can begin to think through some very creative ways to have that experience in this upcoming school year when you kind of do this audit, this self-assessment. Alrighty. And then the very last rock, let me pull up my last rock here, would be honors and awards. You see how our jar got like really full, right? Honors and awards. So go ahead and record it now, especially as you will be applying for scholarships in your senior year, because many of them really just don't focus on your grades and your test scores and things like that. They really take a look at your community involvement, your leadership, and recognition. So what are some local, regional, national awards that you've won? Sometimes students will say, oh, well, I just won this little itty bitty thing. It's not that important. Yes, it is. It is important. So you're going to write it down. So go ahead and write it down. And again, make note of whether or not it's a local, regional, or national award. The name of the award, what place was it? Third place. Did you get the bronze award? Were you number 10 out of 1,000 students selected? So write down as much as you can, and then look ahead. What are some of the things that you want to do in the future? You said, oh, I really wanted to do this robotics competition. I totally forgot about it. If you don't plan for something, it just really doesn't happen. So again, as we are working on and looking forward to our upcoming school year, doing academic planning, I want you to take a look back at what you've done, record all of it for those 7 areas that I covered. And then I want you to look ahead at the kind of school year and the experiences that you want to have moving forward. Alrighty, bye.